What is going on, everybody? I'm Tom.
And I'm Pat.
We're best friends, and you're listening to the Reminiscent Podcast.
Incarnation. Hey.
Hey.
I'm just singing. I'm just over here singing, having a good time. How are you, man?
Good, dude. Exhausted, but ready for this episode.
Nice. Guess what?
What?
It's the Strokes week.
Bum, bum,
Finally.
bum. Or is that a negative thing? I don't know. F*** the Strokes.
I don't know. It's a lie. Whatever it is, we're not doing the Strokes. There was some tweet that was like, this is a monument to 2 bullets that struck during World War I or whatever. It's the most unlikely event ever recorded, blah, blah, blah. Name something less likely to happen. And we put out a official press release from the Reminiscent Twitter account saying us doing a Strokes episode would be less likely.
I still can't name a single Stroke song, so
I think you've probably played Reptilia on Guitar Hero. If I had to guess.
That's right. Yeah,
I
just remember the super boring guitar part. That's it. Sorry, Strokes. You're not good at what you do.
Sorry, Strokes. But in all seriousness, what we are doing this week is we're going to re-record Futures. We didn't get it right the first time, so we're going to go back and we're going to take another swing at the Futures episode and
giant swing and a miss.
Give Jimmy Eat World the appropriate OG or maybe middle G emo status. No, we're not doing that either. What we are doing is a brand new episode, and it's not Deja Entendu. That's the last misdirect. We decided. What did we decide?
Well, we were kind of having a heavy couple of weeks here, both in the show and
I think
IRL.
If you listen to the Weezer solo, you're like, I'm not sure this happened because they wanted it to happen, So I think we've both been pretty busy with work and quarantine. And your favorite weapon is a bit lighter.
Yeah,
that's what we thought. And then I listened to it all this week. And I was like, I don't know.
It feels lighter anyway.
Yeah, that was the intention. It's more youthful, more fun, maybe a little less polished.
It's
perhaps.
Like when I'm feeling feisty in the bathroom and I hop on my scale and I say, I feel lighter. And then the scale is like, you've gained 4 pounds, buddy. All that matters is the way I feel, Pat. So
yeah,
I think I opted at the last minute to do your favorite weapon just because I felt more in the headspace for that, more willing to do that, and it's one of the all-time classics, right? I mean, it's weird to say that Brand New paved the way for a lot of pop punk bands because it's so easy to like remember Deja Entendu and everything that came after it, but like your favorite weapon was pop punk to the core, everything about it. And I think that's maybe why it's my favorite album of theirs. I don't know.
Wow. See, I was under the impression that, well, first of all, quick rewind. Feisty in the Bathroom is either the best band name or worst band name I've ever heard. And I thought, I was under the, that's why I kind of tweeted so long ago about, we've been really pondering doing a Deja episode because I thought that was their consensus classic.
Probably. I mean,
which is odd for you because you usually liked the heavier, better produced, like later Motion City records and stuff. You're more of a producer type yourself. So to like the raw, younger, I mean, it's the louder now, tell all your friends debate we always have. I'm honestly, legitimately shocked that you like your favorite weapon better, but I'd love to get into it and learn why, quite honestly.
I'm kind of shocked. I'm not sure if I'd have an answer for you. I think I probably have more good nostalgic memories attached to this album than others, like thoughts of us as freshmen and sophomores in high school in our band covering a lot of these songs and just trying as hard as we can to nail down some of these guitar parts. Giving everything our 14-year-old fingers can muster. I mean, I'm just full of weird phrases today. God. Anyways, I'll stop talking.
Ooh, Muster would be an interesting, like, Guster cover band name or something? I don't know. There's something there.
Who's Guster?
I think one of the bands from the era we discussed. Not like the biggest, but they're part of it.
Yeah.
Saying Satellite, I think. It's good. Anyway, are we doing the God tier rating system again?
Oh God.
Whether or not we got it right whether or not we fully understood what it meant the first time around. I think in the context of the show, people generally understand. Although, should we alter it to say this was a very good song written by a person that has since been canceled? Because we did wrestle with doing Brand New for a long time. We've been doing the show for a while, and we have intentionally avoided this particular topic. We don't have to delve into it. It's pretty obvious the reasons why we would have delayed, but didn't want to avoid it anymore. Figured we'd peel the Band-Aid off and just do it. Do you want to not use the phrase God tier and just be like, this was, A- as the top grade?
We'll call it good tier. The good tier is the top tier. Is that?
Let's just call it. We can just call it top tier.
Okay.
Let's just call it top tier.
Sure. Yeah, let's go track by track. I've got a couple fun facts just to.
I'd love to hear them.
Get us into this episode. So, I'm really into the producer stuff. This record was produced by Mike Sapone, who also recorded all of Brand New's records. So it's kind of cool to hear Brand New progress as their producer gets better and better at what he does. I think that's kind of fascinating. They stuck with him throughout the whole time. Apparently they're good friends. And the same guy produced almost all of Taking Back Sunday's records, like all but Louder Now, essentially, which is interesting. I wonder why.
Like a Long Island-based dude that hung on to those local kids or something.
Right. Brought him along with all their success. He also did Motion City Soundtrack, Boston Manor, which is like a more recent band, MC Lars, Stray Light Run, which makes sense, I Am the Avalanche, and Mayday Parade. So this dude gets around. Yeah. He's not Neil Avron status, but he's done some super cornerstone records in the scene.
Shout out to MC Lars, who actually used a Brand New riff or two and that he looped for his little weird, I don't know if there was like a nerd rap boon there with MC Chris and stuff. Doesn't matter. I was expecting you to like just take a snippet of you saying Neil Avron's name and insert it every week. This album was produced by Neil Avron, and then just have that be the name every week because it tends to be true. But that's cool. That's interesting in that you mentioned that, of course, he would have done the Stray Light stuff because, I'm assuming there's a reason he knew all these dudes who, kind of the lore of the scene. That's one of the biggest feuds that, it's an episode that we'll probably do at some point here. But, we've put off doing Brand New stuff, but obviously the Brand New Taking Back Sunday. Can you call it beef? I guess that's not what we're here to talk about today. But anyway, they all knew each other back to their teen high school days. So it's interesting that he got in with all those guys and made a pretty good career out of it, I'd say.
Right. And apparently they recorded an EP that had a lot of these songs on it. And there was a catastrophic hard drive failure and they lost the whole thing. So they had to re-record the entire demo to make this album. And the band later admitted they didn't even like the sound of the album, which it's I guess in between a demo and like a proper album production, but they were young. The producer seemed young and new. I think it's fine for what it was. And it was kind of a slow to catch traction on this record. They slowly started rolling out like re-releases and re-recordings and bonus songs, music videos, and re-recorded several radio singles. And throughout that time they were touring with, God, it would have been amazing to be of age to really appreciate these tours. But The Movie Life, The Early November, Dashboard Confessional, Thrice, The Starting Line, Taking Back Sunday, Rufio, and Ecstatic Lullaby. How sick would it have been to see those bands on tour with Brand New?
Well, it would have been totally sick. That's my big analysis. If you're like the a color commentator for a sporting event, I'm just the former player who doesn't add a whole bunch. Just like, yes, it was. No, I can only imagine you get jealous of these scenes. Being from Erie, we caught some like I-90 traffic, people going from Buffalo to Cleveland occasionally, or, if they pick up a quick check on their way to a night, if they had a night before their Cleveland show or something. Anyway, hearing about people going with of all the scenes you hear about, obviously we didn't get to our age group experience the Ian MacKaye DC stuff, but it kind of branched out from there. But the weirdest scene would have been the Florida thing where Dashboard and Newfound Glory were good buds. But I can imagine the New York stuff can you imagine Taking Back Sunday and Brand New coming out of just one high school? You know what I mean? Just in terms of from a scene standpoint, we've been playing around in a couple bands and all of them got extremely famous. So yeah, pretty interesting. But there, it's for the, for the era we're talking about, it's an important collection of musicians for sure. And
Yeah, and record sales dating back to 2011 when they re-released the album for the 10-year anniversary changed the cover art, which I thought was interesting. Apparently at that time they had sold just over 315,000 copies, so not quite gold status with 500,000. Maybe they have breached that by this point. I'm not sure. It seems surprising because, again, it's like, well, I listened to this album 10,000 times as a kid. Of course, I had a burned copy from a friend, so that didn't count towards the record sales or streams or whatever. But I just felt like everyone in the world had 3 copies of this record. How do they not sell more? But
it's interesting you said that because I remember the Speed Chess cover pretty vividly.
Yeah.
And then, the Reed Deluxe version or whatever, which, I'm basically your like dirtbag cousin who has your Apple Music subscription or whatever. But using your Apple Music subscription, I was able to see the guy's head on a towel or something. It's just different. But
on the street or something, yeah.
Yeah,
passed
listening
out
to
on
it
the
this
overpass,
week.
Perhaps.
Hey, wah, wah, wah. Turn up the heat. Incarnation.
It's blazing.
It's blazing. I don't know how we got to figure out a segment just to incorporate that a little better, or not, or we could never say it again. I'd be fine with either. Either lean fully into it. I don't know. Anyway, yes. Would you like to any more fast facts?
No. Surprisingly, that's all I have. There's not much about this era of brand new. Pretty early on.
Yeah, the first song. Let's just get into it. I think the stories will come with each song. I think, but they were young, man, right?
Jesse Lacey, I think, was 22 or 23, with him being 3 or 4 years older than most of the other members in the band. So yeah, they were college. Some of them barely out of high school. So, and I mean, around this time, I'm trying to put it in like perspective of, I mean, Jesse Lacey was born. He's 41 years old. Or something like that. So this would be like when my band, The Good Fight, was like just writing music, it would have been at that age me writing Your Favorite Weapon, which seems crazy because I felt so young and inexperienced and incapable of writing such intense emotions, man. It's crazy what some like teenagers can achieve, dude. It's absolutely wild.
Yeah, I don't think I would have wanted to get out from anywhere just to find some conversation, or I wouldn't have. Even if I did, I wouldn't have been able to use the phrasing appropriately to describe my feelings or anything. So, like when we were juniors in high school, we wouldn't have been like, "I just want to find some conversation." I doubt we were sitting around saying shit like that. Like we always remind ourselves every week, like, why wasn't our band successful? And we just like weren't on the same level as any of these dudes. So. Just from a vocabulary standpoint, not even like too deep of a thing, just like behind in every measurable way. Anyway, so track 1, if you have anything to say about Shower Scene, the floor is yours. I'll say this, and it's weird because Eddie from Taking Back Sunday kind of got on us last week on Instagram because we were implying that they weren't a good music video band, and you kind of realize like, oh my gosh, sometimes we interact with some of these people. So
they actually see it. They're real human beings.
Right, exactly. And then you have to interact. You're like, sorry, we're a big fan. I don't think we're actually I don't think we're trying to be sterny critics and hot take or shock jocks or anything. I think we pretty much just speak honestly. But so when I say this, I say it with love, I guess. You know what I mean? They're not a great track 1 band, I guess, for my own taste. I like a good, I don't know, I like a strong tone setting track 1, but between this and track 1 on Deja as well, it's just kind of noise. I think they're a band that finishes a lot stronger than they start on some of their more classic albums, right? I think obviously they have a very notable like acoustic last track on some of their better pieces of work, but I don't care much for track 1. I'm going to give it just a B and toss the ball to your side of the court, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I feel similarly. I always skipped over it. It's not a bad song. It's just not how I want to like dip my toes into this record. Again, I want to dive in head first, so I'm probably skipping right to Jude Law because that's what I'm coming here for.
Yeah, that would have made a good track 1. If you had to pick what your preferred track 1 on this record would be out of all of them, which one would you pick?
Ooh. this would be weird, but I can almost see Mixtape being a good track.
Yeah,
one.
dude, I was just gonna say that. I was gonna say Mixtape into 70x7 or something, and just like
Jesus,
a weird one into something like or something smooth like Logan the Government Center or something. But like or Sudden Death in Carolina. I don't know, but yeah, I like Mixtape as like a what the hell, more of a fun what the hell as opposed to like a okay, shower scenes fits with this collection of music, but I'm surprised it isn't like buried in the third or second to last, slot or something like that.
Well, more than anything, I just want to alleviate Mixtape from track 4 because to me it sounds like an album closer, but you have Soko Amaretto Lime, so that naturally has to be the closer. I feel like having Mixtape as track 4 seems so weird that it's less about moving track 1 elsewhere. It's about moving track 4 elsewhere. So
yeah, 3 and 4 are traditionally some of the power slots. 3, 4, and 5, I guess. Not that an album is like a boat or a shell in the sport of crew rowing, but 3, 4, 5 generally, you have your power seats or whatever. Anyway, it's an odd placing. So yeah, either open with it or put it towards the back. But again, you have a really strong acoustic thing there anyhow. Yeah. So it's tough. It's a tough split. But yeah, a throwaway at number 1, and then it kind of comes into the jealousy relationship. Jude Law is I guess like exactly what the record is for the rest of the time is what you hear lyrically and mood.
Right.
I mean, like it kind of not defines their career necessarily because they get pretty religious in a few albums from this, but this Jude Law and A Semester Abroad is very much their vibe for like the foreseeable future at that point, right?
Yeah, and this is a killer song. They're introducing like their ability to write a chorus that you and all your friends want to scream at the top of your lungs. The guitar work is fun. Like the guitar part is sick, dude. I love the guitar in most of this record, but like you hear it so quickly in this track, like just how good it is. And just that, you mention it so often of like boys in point A, girls in point B. How do we get there?
Oh, and
this is maybe like, the prequel to that, or this is like, if they stayed together, that's the direction the song would have taken. This is more of like the anger direction because they broke up beforehand or whatever.
Well, that's like you kind of delve deeper into the emo side of things, or people talk about the history of emo or whatever, where punk became melodic and moody or whatever. But boy in point A, girl in point B, boy's yelling at girl in point B mean things and doesn't want her to come home, or you know what I mean? Like there's no desire to try. Like, and again, there were examples of. That wasn't everything, but as you delve into this genre, boy in point A is being pretty unruly and unreasonable towards girl in point B to the point where there doesn't appear to be plans to rendezvous at this point. There's a point on this record, and we'll get to that later, where the narrator is wishing pretty oddly specific physical harm on the girl in point B. And we'll get into more of that later. But, looking back on some of these things, it's like, yeah, I guess Hey There Delilah was a little sweeter example of the point A, point B stuff we talk about on the show. Right. There's a little more.
And we get to a little bit of that in this record.
Oh yeah. It's not all spitting weird hate, but he's not in a good place. Whoever this person is envisioning Jude Law, what a simpler time when Jude Law was just a hot guy. I don't think the Sherlock Holmes movies with Robert Downey had even been made yet, let alone The Young Pope or The Hot Pope or whatever the HBO show is. I've never seen it, but what a different era for Jude Law altogether. Times changed, but he's aged well, to his credit. But did we expect anything different? Probably not.
Let's get to our favorite segment, Genius Lyrics.
Yes.
Okay, so we have the line, "The weather is getting better by the hour, rains all the time. I hope it rains there all the time." And we have a breakdown of these lyrics. It's just so funny to me. Which, actually, so again, I'm not the lyrics guy. I'm so bad at it, at figuring out the meaning or even knowing the words that they're singing. Genius Lyrics came through pretty clutch on the 2 listen throughs that I did last week. But the explanation is, Jesse is aware that UK is known for its rainy weather. He is likely checking the weather reports periodically, feeling better the more it rains across the pond. And my question is, Pat, if you're angry at an ex-girlfriend who's out of town, would checking the weather reports periodically be the most misdirected use of energy that has ever existed?
Yes. Also, I love your Genius Lyrics segments. They're one of my favorite things in this world, genuinely. I will say this. That's a very good and very funny point. I will say this. There's some Morrissey stuff where he's like talks about on a sunny day being inside on the computer writing frightening verses to Bucktooth Girls in Luxembourg and shit. He is obviously a wannabe Morrissey. There's like three phases of Jesse, right? There's like dude with hands at his sides that like a girl would want to talk to me. There's like weird God complex Morrissey wannabe dude. And then there's like weird, very specific violence towards women dude. And I think this is an example of him trying to mention weather in Europe, trying to be a little like kind of a wannabe Morrissey dude, I guess. Kind of the anti-Soupy Campbell from Wonder Years, very much embracing the Morrissey mindset and enjoying his catalog. But maybe that's what he was going for. But yeah, Jesse is checking the weather. Is it a bad use of time? You're in it pretty deep, I think, if you're going through a breakup and checking weather.com. Or I guess now on the iPhone, you'd plug it into one of your cities you could scroll through, I guess, on the weather app.
There we go.
Like, London, rainy. Nice.
Do you think this is one of the strongest choruses on the record?
Interesting you say that, because I feel like there were a lot of bands, at least in our scene or at the time, where there'd be like a one note beginning to the chorus where you sing the first line of the chorus, you play another note, like dun, 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 dun. You know, like I feel like that was, if we talk about, when we talk about Fall Out Boy, Sugar Going Down, we talk about the chicka chickas being like a pretty common, thing that was used for people who don't know guitar that well or whatever. I think people who weren't very good, or young people maybe not that they were bad necessarily, but it was an easy chorus trick to not only at a live show be able to have your chorus be heard by the people in attendance. If you had a help me out with the sound equipment name, PA system maybe.
Front of house, PA.
Yeah. So, it was a good trick and it was catchy automatically. We used it in one of our songs. So do I think it's one of the strongest on the record? I'm going to hold off. I don't think it is. Mostly because I just think they're a young band using tricks like that. They get so much better. I obviously prefer Deja, but I don't know. I think I'm going to hold off. If I am wrong by the time we get to the last song, I will concede my point, but I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait on that one. I had one last point on this one. It's a great youth jealousy song, right? Back when like you watch Scrubs and you think the friend zone is like a real thing and the world's conspiring against you, but really like the friend zone is just like it's a perceived injustice, right? It's a flawed concept. Right. It's not even super real, but as a teen, you're like, man, I can never get a win. I don't know. So, but when you're in that headspace as a young person who has yet to really, I don't know, mature and grow, which all of us should be allowed to do, right? It's a great song when you're in that headspace. I can say that much. Just like, yeah, I bet there's, Jude Law, whatever, I don't know. It's a great youth jealousy song to their, it's what more could you want out of this when you're in that mindset, right? Out of a song.
Yeah. No, it's so good.
Also, okay, I lied. Last thing about this song. No, excuse me. I almost tried to sing that as I read it because I've been listening to this record all week. No More Songs About You. At the end, gets repeated a lot. I would say that Brand New is the biggest offender of the whole, man, I wish I could stop writing songs about you thing and then proceeding to only write songs about that person. You know what I mean? Like the whole, this is definitely the last one. It seems like most of their lyrics are involved around this being the final song they write about a significant other or a spurned lover, for example. So yes, when they say no more songs about you, it's safe with this band to assume that there will be more songs about that person. But I think if I had to give it a grade, I'm going to give this an A. I don't know if it's God tier for me, but it's an A. It's definitely an A. Brand New song for I think a lot of people. I would have to assume.
Yeah, solid A. I'd agree. I love it. I love it a lot. But yeah, for a couple reasons here and there, A+. I'm a cheater. I want everything.
That's fine. That's fine.
Halfway committing to anything.
Right. Like a good Midwestern Catholic boy.
Right. They're all good songs. Can't they all
you said
get
this.
medals?
Be like, actually, we didn't really say anything for the last 3 years on this show because we never really commit to anything. Okay, track 3, Sudden Death in Carolina. Okay, this in Logan and Government Center, two of my favorites on the record, not in like a huge tier way, but like they're just smooth. They go down smooth, man. I remember sitting in the baseball dugout with, I don't know if you knew Brennan. He went to school with Adam at St. Luke's and stuff, but I remember he really liked Brand New, and he always loved that Swallowed Liquor in a Lighter, and This Morning I Threw Up Fire line for some reason. But it's I just like it. It's smooth. There's nothing remarkable about it, but it's just like when you're talking about these front to back albums, you're going to need 3 or 4 of these that just go down nice and are really on point with the mood of the record and, hit hard. I just really like it.
Yeah, the guitar part on this sounds very, for lack of a better word, immature. The lead line, it sounds like, high school band type of stuff. But it feels like such a perfect product of that time, like early pop punk. And the way the song starts, it's obviously catchy. It catches your attention. And every time I hear this song, I'm like, I don't really like this one that much. And then the chorus drops and it's like, I forget every time how incredible this song is. Like, it always throws me off a little bit at first.
Super 2000s emo, call 911. I'm already dead, but, someone should be caught and held responsible for this bloody mess. Like, he's not even alive in the scenario where someone gets caught. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like, definitely a woe is me thing.
Yeah. No, it's really good. Really, really good.
And I guess we're already probably running long because we just enjoy talking about Brand New. So I'll quickly slide in my A grade here to this Sudden Death in Carolina and just say it's a slept on Brand New song, if I had to say.
Sure. Yeah, I'll copy and paste that right into this episode for myself.
And I think it's probably some building blocks lyrically for Lacey going on. Like, to me, Deja is, his masterpiece. Personally, I think that's either way their career is viewed in my head. And, you could see, like, as a young guy, like, there's some clever stuff, there's some interesting stuff, there's some relationship stuff. He's just like, there's a difference between, well, we'll get to magazines and the fact that John Nolan actually wrote it later, but, right. You're starting to see, like, there's improvement. They're like flashes. This is a song where it flashes for sure. Did you give your grade?
A, yeah.
Ooh, nice. Okay. Track 4, Mixtape. In my notes. Oh,
right. Yeah, man. This is the song. I have, like, when I think of our band, 4 Under Par, that we were in from 8th grade until senior year of high school, one of, like, my favorite memories is there was a band we've talked about quite a bit on this show called Another Found Self that was from Ohio, just a few miles away. And they just, like, were one of the sickest, like, they were kind of almost like a hybrid of pop punk and power pop. The very effeminate singer, very Adam, it looked exactly like Adam Lazar. It was kind of crazy.
Was he the dude that always had drank a full, huge gallon, like half gallon, if not more, of Arizona iced tea every show, like while performing?
I don't remember. They were the Time to Kill the Revolution band. Yeah.
He was definitely the wannabe Lazaro with the hair, and he would swing the mic. It's like, at least be kind of different. You know what I mean? I guess his difference was drinking a lot of Arizona iced tea on stage, weirdly.
But they were very good, and we played shows with them all the time. The owner of this venue in Erie called Forward Hall, it was right downtown. Some of, like, my best memories are from either Forward Hall in Erie or at the Edinburgh Hangout a little bit south of Erie. And we were we would get there super early because the venue owner was just, like, around. He would let us in. We'd set up. We'd jam a little bit. And Adam who played guitar in our band, started playing Mixtape. And the bassist of Another Found Self was like, yo! And he just, like, ran on stage. I remember you gave him your bass. And we just kind of played Mixtape during sound check with, like, some of the members of that band, some of the members of ours. And it was, like, the most rock and roll I've ever felt, just, like, jamming with other bands, like older college dudes from a different state, like, just playing songs with them. Like, it was so fun, man. And we used to play this in my mom's basement all the time. We played this record a lot in my mom's basement.
Yeah, it was one of our band's favorite. Like, there was a few records that, it's usually the ones we do in depth on the show, honestly. But during that era, we were really together as a group, digging very detailed, into late into the night before, drugs or alcohol. Well, not all of us partook in those things anyway, but before any of those even entered any of our scenes, really, just staying up late because it was the one act of defiance you kind of had in your arsenal. So like, let's listen to Mixtape 100 times in a row, not because we wanted to get to 100, just because we loved it that much, probably. And, you mentioned jamming with them. There's a few distinct moments on the show where we talk about, being generally posers or like second generation emo fans who, are just younger, I think, which is not something that we're guilty of. We just are younger. But, people who are older generally hate the people who are younger than them. But, I think there are moments like that jamming with them where, we were legitimately members of the local scene. And I think there's stuff to feel good about there. I think we should continue to police ourselves as harshly as we can in terms of whether or not we're full on posing, but we had some good times. We were too young to really enjoy Forward Hall for all it was, but it was kind of cool of like the guardians of the, I hate to even speak like this sometimes, but the guardians of the scene, the older dudes. Not a ton of us other than Zach had older brothers handing us records, so like for them to even let us in early just to watch was nice. It was the hangout in Edinburgh obviously had a very let's all go to Taco Bell and hang out scene. There was a very friendly kind of collaborative scene all around. So well, I guess I'm just confirming that was a great, fun memory of, and we were there, we were doing it, right, as much as anybody else was. I guess I'm talking it out loud so that, like, I can make sure this memory's on tape or something. You know what I mean? Like, we were there, we were doing it, so, something to feel good about.
Yeah, I have a ton of good nostalgic memories attached to this song, and also, it's just a killer song, man. Like,
so this song blew the doors off of my brain when I heard it because... of the structure itself. I mean, well, the lyric. So first of all, I've got a $20 bill. Excuse me. He was talking like Rodney Dangerfield in Caddyshack, right? Like, I've got a $20 bill that says, like, who? Like, again, we talk about writing songs as teens. Who are you hanging with? Are you like, have you been a caddy at a golf course for 70 years? Like, well, you've got a $20 bill that says what? What the f*** are you talking about? What, like, Long Island has to be such a weird place for you to, at such a young age, to be like, even speaking this way to anybody. You know what I mean? Like, what a different even world to have been living in. So I think that caught me off guard. But also, it's just an idea. That idea gets repeated with more vigor. And then they rock out for like kind of the last third of the song. There's no verses or choruses really. But it sounds so good and is so good. It's kind of like, I'm not vouching for Woody Allen or anything, but there was a joke at a young age that I read of his where like he was being chased around a Spanish dictionary by the verb tener. And I just thought that was so funny to give life to a word in a book that he was just like fearful of tener. And it was just like a weird kind of rule breaking thing where you're like, oh, but they were like, all they did was play it twice. And this is the best song I've ever heard in my life. That isn't how songs usually go. And it was really this rule breaking thing that seems so cool to even hear. You're like, oh my God, they're onto some, like, did you hear Mixtape? Did you hear it? You're like, let's talk about it forever.
Well, also, it starts off so, clean guitar, this simple picking. And then when it comes back around for the second verse, it's all now a pop punk song. Diddle it. Like, so sick, dude. Like, that guitar part is so fun and it so dramatically changes pace. Again, for like that middle third, and then the last third is just what? Like, how does it keep? I didn't know it had anywhere else to go. Although,
maybe they didn't either. But they were like, it's great because he's just screaming at the end, like, "Hurrah!"
Right. What do you think about the song? Just kind of like ending in this like descent to chaos. Like, do you wish it had a more
in the forest lot? I'm. Like you, very confused, but I love it because there's a few. I think there's a song on "In Keeping Secrets" by Coheed and a song on Weezer's Blue Album. I can't remember the names of the two specifically, but where there's like kind of this dissension into plucking the chords above the strings close to the tuning, things on a guitar to create the sound of like a dungeon or something, or just like this dissenting into madness kind of vibe. So it's something that I'm obviously not going to put that part of the song on repeat and be like, oh, cool, this is the part that sounds like a horror movie. But I'm all for it. I'm here. It's just, there's like a chaotic mood. It adds to the fun, I guess, right? Like, you don't really know you look at the track list, you're listening to this album for the first time, say, And then it goes, into fucking Failure by Design, like the most conventional of the songs on the record. So you're like, it's descent. I respect the weirdness, I guess. I enjoyed because it kept you guessing and it was all fun. Plus, Mixtape's just so good. You can do whatever you want. It's like, somebody made a joke. I've been trying to listen to more emo pods lately to try to like get up and learn more about, everything we're talking about. And somebody's making a joke about like a late career Jimmy Eat World record. And they were like, I could give a what Jimmy Eat World stuff. They made Clarity. They can do whatever they want. So it's like, if you write Mixtape, you're allowed to finish Mixtape however you choose. You know what I mean?
Right. Sure.
I don't mind it at all. And it's kind of fun because it's like, what the hell is this? Especially when you're young, you're just hearing certain things for the first time. So you're just like, what? Like it's fun.
Yeah. So God tier, right? Top tier.
Totally. Yeah.
Totally.
This is might be the best brand new song. One of the top brand new songs ever, at least, right? I mean, I don't know. It's okay up there, man. Right? I don't know.
Yeah, I could definitely see it being top 5, top 3 even.
Sure.
I would hear an argument for best song ever.
The more I think about it, you're right. There's so many Deja songs that maybe top 5, but one of the top. Right, I'll soften it. I'll back up. But also, when you're in the mood for it and it hits, it's like, it's kind of it's good.
Track 5, Failure by Design.
So, okay, not to be bogarting, but it's fun that we chose to do this because I like doing the show with you. This is one of those songs where when I heard it for the first time, it is if I had been holding on to it in my subconscious forever. It's like my mind kind of knew where it all was going. I had been waiting to hear this somehow in a weird way. You know what I mean? I don't know if you've ever had that. Yeah. There's like 3 or 4 songs in my life where it's like the chorus hits and you're like, oh, yeah. And then, I don't know. Every turn, every twist and turn was like every lyric, it just couldn't have made more sense to like my everything, spirit, soul, body, whatever. It's just like, oh shit. This is like it almost wasn't real. You had to go back and listen again. Like, have I always known this? Like forever. But so just a special experience for me personally when I heard this for the first time, from that standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, all the angst in our teenage lives primed us for consuming this song, like every word of it. It's fun because it's like a song about how exhausting it is to record an album. And, I kind of heard those elements throughout, but as I really like kept pausing the song line by line to really listen and absorb it, having made an album myself, like it is fucking exhausting, dude. And I mean, just even being a band is exhausting, like 4 or 5 people all trying to get along. And oh man, it's a fun song to empathize with or sympathize, whichever one. And each line stands out, but then like as a whole, it all comes together. And dude, it's a good one. And especially, I mean, this is one that we covered as well. You wrote this in the notes too. We played our friend Dan's birthday party, which he lived like exactly 2 blocks away. These were like very long blocks though. It was probably closer to like what would be 4 blocks. And my dad built this drum riser for us and it had a putting green on it. The thing was massive. It was so heavy, putting green, because we were 4 under par. And I remember like having a dolly laying around in our garage and stacking this 8 foot by 8 foot drum riser on this like 1 foot by 1 foot dolly, stacking all of our equipment on top of this thing and rolling that motherfucker like 4 blocks to Dan's house to play his birthday party.
I don't know if Dan's a Sherpa, but he's on the trail the Sherpas were leading us down because he comes up a lot.
He introduced me.
He was there for your early Linkin Park
Cartel
days and stuff.
Yeah. Oh my God, maybe. Linkin Park, Cartel, and DMX and Tupac.
Do you want to what? Wow, he told you Tupac existed.
Yeah.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is, do you want to just christen him now? Yeah. Sherpa status to Dan Majeski. There you go. The St. Luke boy, not St. Luke, St. James. Sorry. Yeah, that was an interesting party because I remember there was a lady there, our age, a girl, and just like she was standing closest to the stage and she was, cute, but she was just watching me not play because I hadn't learned it fully. So I just didn't want to fuck up and play wrong notes. So that song during the show was just guitar and drums, which through the PA system at that point. This was very expensive bass purchase, so I'm not sure anybody would have noticed anyway. But she was looking at me like, "Are you even fucking playing?" I'm like, "Shut the fuck up," like, yeah, trying to play it off.
You weren't the only one, because there are 2 vocals in this, and the "this is over when I say it's over" is very high. And at the time, Zach wanted me to sing that part, and I couldn't sing for shit. And I remember being like, I can't do it. And Zach was like, just do it like this. This is over. And it was like, I remember he hit it so flat, and I was like, dude, that's not even good. And he was like, whatever, dude. I was like so angry that he wanted me to sing, but I couldn't sing it. So I had a microphone up to my mouth at the show, and I was just lip syncing it, pretending like the microphone wasn't working.
Oh, nice, dude. I'm so glad you said that, because I definitely was just, it was one of those things where we were a young band and we were young people as well, with maybe just teetering on the brink of what, irrational teen confidence does to you, which is often detrimental. But I think Zach just through gusto was like, oh, Adam knows it. Dude, we're playing it. I love this song.
Right.
And I think we had decided that maybe hours, plural, maybe plural, before the party itself. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, I barely play the bass in general for our songs. How the am I going to play? Anyway, that girl Sarah was just looking at me. I was just like, you got me. I don't know. I was trying to play it off. Like, please don't tell anybody. I had written this down. It's a Mixtape line. I'm sorry. I'm going to rewind for a little bit. But Adam, a beloved member of our old band, always used to say, on that Morrissey thing where he was like, he's talking about, you don't care about Morrissey, you don't care about the Smiths or Morrissey, you don't care about Brand New in the second verse, or me, but he says May, like yells it. And Adam was always like, yeah, he's saying May, because there was a band May, M-A-E. And I always argued with him like, no, he's saying me because he thinks he's Morrissey.
Or May.
It couldn't be true ever under any circumstance, especially given the context of the previous lyric. And Adam was usually right. In his defense, he was our Fred Mascherino technician superstar. But on that point, I was like, I just don't know how you can go through life thinking that, because no, I don't know. Why would he fucking randomly insert May when he has a chance to compare himself to Morrissey? You know what I mean? Like he's
May
saying,
was not related to this at all.
Oh no, yeah, it might have been the one time I was actually right, because Adam is a well-read, very talented guitarist and a good buddy. I was like, no, man, you're wrong. I'm sorry. I don't even feel good about it. It's just, this can't go on much longer like this. So,
can we talk about the best 2 words in this song?
Yeah, dude. You always used to make fun of that Weezer song, Say It Ain't So, because I love Weezer, and I tried to get you guys into it so hard. And then one song he's like, wrestle with Jimmy, and you guys would sing it like that. Yeah. I would say that what we're about to say is a worse offense. Worse. As sounding like super stupid. All right, you ready?
Terribly. Yep.
All right, in 3, 2, 1.
Head hurts!
It's just bad, man. It's just super bad. It sucks because it might be one of my favorite songs on the record. Is it perfect? I don't know. It's just like, it's kind of like when Taylor Swift says, it's so fun at the end of Stay, Stay, Stay on Red. It's just like, oh, no. Man. Like you were throwing a perfect game, and you lost me a bit, but I still love it. But you lost me a bit.
Yeah, Zach and I used to scream that in the highest voice we could possibly do, and we just laughed our asses off, man.
Yeah. Obviously, they're still famous and it worked out. It's obviously a great record, but yeah, just pretty dumb.
I loved it. Yeah.
Oh no. Yeah.
Teenagers.
Totally bought into it. Right. One More Late Night basement song is definitely a lyric which Zach or all of us tried to steal multiple times. I think
we tried to insert that into every fucking song and ended up taking it out.
Like trying to convince ourselves we had insomnia, but we all were sleeping fine. Probably
we were just like Brand New, dude.
Exactly. We were like, no, I have the same problems. They're writing this about me. I'm sure everybody has similar experiences.
Right.
But I'm going to give Failure by Design. I mean, I think top tier is strong for what the body of work is. I might have to go A+. I might have to. But it is so good.
I'm going to say this with 0% confidence. A+, because it so badly deserves to be that top tier. And it was for me at the time. But I think I'm going to have to give it an A+ because we have a top tier coming up. So try to keep it all in perspective.
Track 6, your favorite song ever recorded.
Whoa, did I say that?
No, I don't know. I skimmed your notes. But Last Chance to Lose Your Keys.
Yeah. This one, it meant so much to me at the time because, like, again, I was an idiot, right? I was a teenager. We're supposed to be. I dated this girl for like 5.5 years, like totally oblivious to the fact that I could have left at literally any fucking time. But I just like, well, I'm 13. We've been dating for 6 months. Guess we got to get married now.
Right. Of all the youthful mistakes you and I have both made, that's my favorite Tom going from child to teen story. You just thought you had to marry this person for an actual half a decade, like to the detriment of both of you, because you're both good people, you know, who just could have probably had a nice time doing other things. But that is one of my favorite anecdotes. Like, but the thing is you would have, you know what I mean? Like, dutifully too, probably. To your credit, I suppose, or whatever. But that was an interesting. But that you related that experience to this song.
Even while we were still dating, like I felt that I didn't even want to be with her, but I felt like I committed, man. We had promise rings by the age of 14.
Ooh.
This song always hit because it was like, yeah, man, I'd rather be anywhere than with her. But like, so why didn't I just leave? Right? I was 15 with literally no responsibility in the world. And I really felt this song in my heart, just wanting to be anywhere else. And I think for that reason alone, with how much it didn't even feel like a battle cry, it almost made me feel more hopeless. Just like, well, there's nothing I can do about it. I'm stuck. Yeah, I don't know, man. But the chorus is so good. That halftime, it's just so perfect. I think this is my favorite on the record. Like, hands down, it is. Yeah.
I would say in association with Jude Law helps define the, not ethos, I don't know the other two anyway, so I don't even know why I said that.
Mythos and pathos? I don't know what they mean, though.
Neither of them. Neither. It helps define the whole fucking thing. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
Like the whole tone of the record, right? Like, hey, tell the English boys you meet about the American boy back in the States who would do anything you say. Like, I don't think he's super God complex dude yet. So there's a lot of these helpless songs where, you know, girls like you make me think I'd be better off home on a Saturday night with all my doors locked up tight. I won't be thinking about you, baby. Just like this theme of, I'm not going to write any more songs about you. I'm not going to be thinking about you when I'm just hopeless and hands, you know, he's got his hands at his sides, you know, like some of those themes bled into Deja, but even naming a record fucking Deja intent, you know what I mean? Like you're, you know, smoking your own supply a little bit, getting high on your own supply a little bit at that point. Like, it's like, oh, okay. Anyway, no, it's good. It's good. I'm just saying, like, yeah, that's right down the middle of what your favorite weapon is to me is, you're better off home on a set. You know, it's just like one of those, it's kind of like Saturday on, you know, the Take This to Your Grave record by Fall Out Boy. Just one of those early band sing-along, like very catchy, good early band that you appreciate that the band has written, but it's not necessarily, well, for me anyway, one of their like better ones that I enjoyed thoroughly, but I'm glad it was written in part of their whole thing.
I really love just the anthemic nature of it. I mean, you know, before the chorus drops, the music drops out, so you can, like, again, get a better glimpse of the words, like really narrowing in on how much, can't express enough how much I don't think about you, you know, like, let me say it again.
Yeah, right.
Which is just so perfectly ironic and, you know, whatever, but I think it's a very well written pop song that still maintains some of that like youthful glow. It's not like the most sophisticated on the record, but I don't know, man, that halftime thing, the guitars, all the space they leave for the vocals, like the chanting, you know, I love it. It gets me off, dude.
I'm glad you like it because I totally understand what you're saying. And I think we've gotten better and more civil about disagreeing with each other on the show. Like, yeah, I get it. Not personally for me, but then again, not necessarily a B necessarily, but maybe an A-. I don't know. I'll give it an A. I'll give it an A. It's solid. It's not for me. It's not like one of their next level pieces of work. That's all.
No, and I get that. I think for me personally, it's a God tier. Is it a God tier song? Just like objectively, probably not. But to me, it is. I love it. I've got a lot of emotion attached to it.
That's fine. That's what the experience of this whole kind of show or music in general is. So that's super in play. Track 7, Logan to Government Center. I like it. Smooth. To me, it's very similar to Sudden Death in Carolina, not for any other reason than I think they're both go down smooth, man. I just like it a lot.
Yeah, it's a super nice song. To me, it feels so mellow, or even it goes down smooth, especially after what has led up to this on the record. And
like the Logan Airport?
Great song, dude. Yeah, and then you take the Metro line to Government Center.
I saw you
wrote a song about point A, girl in point B. She's in Boston. He is in Long Island, and he writes about my island nights are all spent dying, wait for summer, because he wants to go see her.
Nice detective work, old boy.
Yeah, that came from Genie's lyrics, bro.
Hey, don't knock it till you try it.
Right. But yeah, it's boy in point A, girl in point B, and this is the pinnacle of that. It's perfect.
I would say, we're starting to see a lot of, we talk about this era, early 2000s, where people were still talking about physically writing letters and lyrics. This album is definitely guilty of that. This song is definitely guilty of that. I just like noting that every time we come across it, because, when is that going to stop in general? Burning pictures, physical pictures, and, writing actual letters angrily and whatnot. So apparently he was a big, damn, I can't think of words. Stationary. Stationary is the word I was looking for. Thanks for halting the show for me for that super big payoff. Okay. Logan, I'm going to say, I'll give it an A. I just really like it. It's probably a B, but it's too pleasant to be mad at. I just really like it. It's
a really nice song that I'm glad when it comes around. I'm never waiting for it, but it's just a super good song. I'll go with an A for sure.
Cool. Track 8, B. It. I don't even care about the No Sleep Out song.
Right. Yeah. We'll just blaze right on past that. Nothing to say.
And moving on. Track 9. Encarnacion. Sorry. In a big Nacho Libre phase. Track 9. 70 times 7. Ooh. On the whole, being young, and, he would have been, 5 years older than us at the time. So the fact that he could buy booze and cigs or whatever was he's an adult, but and he's referencing the Bible. Oh my God. He was just on stuff we weren't onto, using phrases like, I've got a $20 bill that could X, Y, or Z. It's what the is your life? Anyway, 7 times 7, you had to look it up. You're oh my God, that's biblical. This is kind of deep, whatever. I don't know. Well, how do you feel about this?
Well, first of all, he was born in 1978. Which is
okay.
Wow. He was quite a bit older than us, 13 years older than me. So.
Borderline, not even what is now defined as a millennial, borderline Gen Xer at that point, right?
Yeah.
Not even borderline, maybe. So, so just a guy, just an adult man, writing about the Bible.
Yeah, this song is this is probably the song I think of when I think of this album. It's the big one, right? I mean, one of the biggest plot twists in history, turns, change, departure from previous song structure. This is them full flex, given everything they got.
What's the turn? You mean the soft bridge?
Is that what you call the getaway?
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Way. Okay. So more spine and jellyfish, more guts and 11-year-old kids could have been so much dumber, and yet it works so well. Do you feel the same way? It was dancing on that line of what the f*** are you talking about, man? But it works. No,
I love
it. I feel like it was millimeters away from being a really dumb lyric.
Well, I think it's probably just it was a huge risk, and a millimeter away from going either way, and it ended up being the most memorable line on the record.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about that when we talk about Max Bemis a lot, where it's there are some swings and misses. Yeah. I mean, I think on these two records we like of Brand News, Deja and Your Favorite Weapon, there aren't a ton of swings and misses where Bemis would put 25 songs on one record, call it a double, and then if he nailed a third of them, those thirds would be beloved by scene kids for decades. You know what I mean? Which was, either strategy, whatever, worked. And also Bemis is probably just a better guy all around, but we don't have to talk about that right now. it worked. What can you say? It worked really well. Yeah, got to be one of the last best final thirds of a song in their catalog, right? I mean, I don't know if this is their best song, but I don't know. When they come in strong with the second version of the Jellyfish stuff, would you rather be like, let me pose something for you. That drum part in Quiet Things That No One Ever Knows, that thing.
Yeah.
Which is better, that or coming in harder with the Jellyfish stuff after the soft version of the Jellyfish stuff?
Oh man, that's f***ed up, Pat. I don't know, man. This song was a really good angry song for me.
Ooh, we got an anger draft coming up, or like a Mad Walks.
We do. I don't want to show my hand too.
I was going to say it's on my notes, but it's only we're reminded. We'll probably do it in this order now, but yeah, basically, we did that Detroit by fireworks thing where you're taking a walk and knowing the cracks in the sidewalk and stuff. What are you listening to if you were taking that walk? So coming up here, we're going to do a draft of what would be on that playlist. And as soon as I heard this, I was like, definitely wrote it in my doc, which we use separate docs for the drafts. But I'm glad you said that because it's definitely a good anger song. I mean, one of the dumbest things I've ever tweeted was after breaking up with a girl in college. I tweeted, "I hope there's ice on all the roads," which I was the one that had to drive home. So I don't know who that was for necessarily, but definitely deranged. Probably the worst thing I've ever, published online, right? Because even a buddy texted me, I think it was just like, you should probably delete that tweet, right? Like, I don't know, like maybe not with that one. Just because, again, you're pretty specific.
You're feeling it, man.
Pretty specific. We're talking about Lacey's 3 phases where, that God complex Morrissey thing, boy at party with hands in pockets, oh, girls don't like me. But then there's the whole describing weirdly specific violence towards women. And you just hear it and you're like, this song rocks. You don't even think about what it is, But he's talking about somebody flying through a fucking windshield in detail. Like, I hope the seatbelt's the reason you're not in when you crash and you fly. It's just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And some of these, you go back and listen to some of these songs after, I don't know if this had anything to do with it at all, or if it was just part of his artistic, whatever. We're not here to apologize for that. That's why we wanted to avoid doing these episodes for the longest time. But it is in shocking detail for sure. So when we go back retrospectively, it's kind of like, oh God, like, uh-oh. But anyway, so this is definitely one of those like early signs of like, should we be marking, the detail used to describe this particular car crash, or, are we just going to let that slide? And it's interesting to hear some of those emo scene dudes from that era be like, everybody was getting away with everything. I don't know. It was a different world for sure.
Yeah. I mean, there's the part of me that's like, dude, you're young, you're upset because the girl broke your heart, but like this specificity of it is so graphic, so intense that it's like, I feel like he spends more time than is appropriate, which I mean is zero amount of time, but more time than is appropriate thinking about this, manifesting this. And yeah, again, not to apologize. We have felt that frustration, that anger of like, why couldn't this just work or be different or better? Why couldn't she be better? Why couldn't I? It's all those hormones, dude. Being a teenager is so hard. Just not understanding rational thought, really.
Right. Well, yeah, you're id, right? I mean, anyway. Another lyric on this record, and I forget if it's this song or not. Please correct me. Even if your plane crashes tonight, you'll find some way to disappoint me by not burning in the wreckage or drowning at the bottom of the sea. Like, I don't know, so many transportation related incidents. It's troubling for sure. But I don't think that was 70 times 7. I think that was, one of the earlier songs on the record, right?
Yeah, that was Jude Law.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Genius lyrics like, he's envisioning the trip back from across the pond where she is on an aircraft.
Anyway, a plane, a common form of transportation that takes advantage of aerial flight.
Yeah, right. Yes. Anyway, National Transportation Agency takes the investigation very seriously as over the coast. Anyway, Yeah, I want to give this one, I guess you got to give it the top tier for what the brand new catalog is, right? I know we just did the whole, like, what we were going to eventually say about Jesse Lacey doing a brand new episode stuff, but in the context of separating the music from the artist type thing, if we wanted to do that, I was watching some YouTube videos before we recorded about, from brand new fans talking about, like, are we allowed to do this? And it's okay if some people do, and it's okay if some people don't, in the context of separating. I don't know, top tier, right? As far as brand new songs go?
Yeah, totally. I've got some pretty fun memories attached to this song. It's so, I don't know, it just seems like what a teenager wants to hear, man. They're going through it. And
yeah, for sure. Going through it.
We're older, wiser, and maybe not so quick to wish harm on someone, try to understand it from both perspectives. But at the time, it's kind of feel like it's what our teenage angst needed,
Right. I definitely... Yeah. On to track 10, Secondary. I'm going to give it a B. I just don't have a ton of thoughts on this one.
Oh, I really like this song. I don't think I realized how much I liked it at the time, but like, I know that like the friend zone is a myth, whatever, but like I have definitely been stuck in these, I've put myself in these situations where I just like really was into a girl that was either A, out of my league, or B, already had a boyfriend, or some combination of the two. And just like feeling that angst of like, I mean, there's like one specific, it's not worth getting into the details, but like this kind of like horrendous thing of being strung along for years, actually hanging out, not even knowing she had a boyfriend for like 6 months, of like what I thought was us going on dates and stuff like that. So I have felt this song more times than I am willing to admit. Just really like super solid, like rhythmic elements in the chorus. Guitar work is simple but nice.
Was she writing you letters?
We talked a lot. I don't think anyone was writing letters.
Is that what he says? Stop these looks and letters?
Yes.
Gotcha.
It isn't for the better. Yeah. I wrote down, really like this song. I didn't love it because it didn't crush my heart into pieces over it, which is, what I'm really here for. But it's like a nice ride on a paved road after bushwhacking through a forest of despair. So it's like a nice breather from 70 times 7.
If you went from 70 times 7 into Soko Amaretto Lime, it would just be like, your body would just start to rip in half from like your skull down, like a gingerbread cookie getting snapped or something. You're just like, anyway, I don't know what the that was. Okay.
Magazine. Oh, but what do we give it? I'll give it an A. I'll give Secondary an A.
I'll give it a B. It's just not for me.
Right.
Unspectacular, but we're fans of the record. No, I'm not trying to be like Shock Jock. Okay, track 11, Magazines. One of the first songs of theirs I heard. I think the first song I heard. And yeah, weirdly, I don't know how that could have ever been the case. Girl, Come to Me, the only broken-hearted loser you'll ever need. I think we noted that with Jude Law, and Last Chance to Lose Your Keys. There's just a lot of helpless teen boy stuff going on, and as being in that spot, it scratched a certain itch, I guess, probably. But this is definitely the garage band sound looking in retrospect. But yeah, at the time, it's just like, okay, these lyrics are exactly what the little did I know at the time what I'll be listening to for the next, until now, basically. But no, obviously very in depth for the next like 5 years. Apparently John Nolan wrote this song. I was listening
which is crazy.
Yeah, I was listening to a couple interviews of his recently just to try to prep for, the show we do. But he was, the high school, apparently, he doesn't describe the bad blood between the bands as he says he always gets asked about it. Like, subtle as a brick in the small of your back lyric on this record that gets used by Taking Back Sunday and one of their records and everything. He says it's not as glamorous as people have made it out to be, but kind of as time passes and as little has been talked about it, it's been talked about a lot, I guess. It was his argument, but like there's not a lot to it, so there's not much to say. So people kind of get more creative than the bands do, maybe, in terms of stoking that fire. But yeah, I guess he wrote this. They all were coming up from the same freaking high school, which is absurd, just to reiterate that one last time. But definitely one of the more garage bandy, youthful sounding songs. I guess I'm realizing now, after listening to it as an older man, is it about like pornographic materials, like printed, a print product put out by, is that the type of magazines we're talking about here?
So I remember being again in my mom's basement and Adam being like, dude, the magazines, it's porn. But I actually, again, dude, Genius Lyrics was actually helping me out a lot for this episode. But Letitia Costa was like a famous model back in the day, became like a Victoria's Secret angel. And she's a famous French model. And apparently John Nolan was actually like really obsessed with her. And in the music video for Great Romances of the 20th Century, Taking Back Sundays, there are actually posters of her all over his wall in the music video. And it was like legitimate. It was just like having a celebrity crush. So I think the magazines, I don't think it's porno. I think it's just like she was a model. I don't know if she did nude modeling, but I think it's probably just like normal like fashion magazines or like Victoria's Secret even. And he just like that one time we found my stepbrother's Maxim magazines in my dad's barn, and we all found Love of Jennifer Love Hewitt that night. And just like, you know, being like a young kid, I think Nolan was probably 18 at the time, just being like, why doesn't this famous French model just love me? You can come over whenever you want. Like, it's almost like so quaint that I love it even more now, knowing a little bit of the backstory. But it's a really, really fun song. I think it's just, it seems less consequential than the others. It seems more playful. So it makes sense that maybe it was written by, you know, someone not in the band at that time. Yeah, it's fun.
It's weird that it comes in the, you know, penultimate, second to last spot. Right? Like, it's just kind of, it's almost like this whole record's out of order or something, but Girl Come to Me. Yeah, it's catchy. Girl Come to Me.
Yeah, really good song.
I'll give it an A. I'll give it an A. It was my introduction to the band, and big fan. And it's a John, you know, props to John Nolan. I like his music.
I'll give it an A. And what's actually really funny is you mentioned this is the first song you heard. So I was thinking, what's the first brand new song I heard? I have no idea how I came across it, but Quiet Things That No One Ever Knows was the first song I heard. I was in algebra class, freshman year of high school, which I referenced in the 2004 draft from the week before. Right. And I remember turning to Dan Majeski and being like, dude, have you ever heard of Brand New? And he was like, yeah, I listened to him. And I was like, does every song of theirs sound like Quiet Thing That No One Ever Knows? Because this is the greatest thing I've ever heard in my life. And he's like, yeah, they're really good, man. You should listen to them. So again, he kind of like, he didn't introduce me, but he nudged me.
Dan was the type of kid that got a goatee in 7th grade. You know what I mean? Like those dudes. Just this quiet, gentle giant who was like calmly going through puberty 5 years before everybody else. And he's just like, yeah, they're really good. You know, I could picture his soft voice being like very reassuring. Like, no, they're nice. Yeah, I remember I was in like freshman year biology or something. And some of the kids that came from a specific middle school in the city hadn't even really learned anything for the last like 3 years because there was a discrepancy with one of the teachers that taught science or whatever. Anyway, Mark, you can bleep the name. Sorry, I'm making you bleep so many names this episode. But he was just this crazy hippie, like would have been a hippie back in the 70s, but he was just like this aloof dude. Really nice guy. He got me a job at the Seawolves actually. But I love that guy. But he had Quiet Things That No One Ever Knows on his like mini shuffle. And I was like, Mark has Quiet Things, is Brand New that popular? I couldn't believe it. I was like, holy shit, if has it, then they are blowing up because like there's no reason he should have been even aware of them. You know, I thought we was our own little world, but the fact that a lot of people, it shows how big I guess emo was at the time, but in like what, by that point, 06, 07, 06, whatever.
Yeah, something like that.
And I was just like, oh God, if they've reached phase of like the school, then these dudes are red hot right now. So hot right now. Anyway, okay, final song, Running Long. I'll let you talk about it. I know you're a big fan.
Yeah, this one is, well, first of all, I just remember Adam playing this all day, every day, and just singing it as loud as he could, even if he was alone in the basement and we were all upstairs playing video games. He was just playing the song. Like, I feel like there was never a moment he wasn't singing this at the top of his lungs. But
dude, he had one of those shirts that said "Mics are for singing, not for swinging." One of those brand new merch shirts.
But love Taking Back Sunday also.
Oh yeah, well yeah, we all hung out and listened to only those two bands for like a long period of time, probably 3 calendar years, with very little exception. Maybe one All American Rejects record or something, but
right, yeah.
He yeah, he loved it. He learned their catalog. He was just in it, man. He loved them. He went to see him, and I think Lacey was sick or something in Cleveland, and he was heartbroken. I think he's probably seen him live other than that. But, yeah, Adam loved him, played this all the time. I got a question, and I'm just going to compare the two records. Would you rather have Soko or Play Crack?
Dude, you.
I don't even think you answered my last question. 70 times 7 versus Quiet Things. Did you even answer that one?
That's not fair, man.
Are you gingerbread cookie breaking right now?
Did you even ask that question? I don't remember.
Yeah. I asked what's the better moment when they come in hard with the jellyfish or if that drum part at the end.
Probably
Things.
70 times 7.
Oh.
I mean, but I'd probably pick Play Crack the Sky. And actually, it's probably because I don't know how whatever cracked version I had of this record didn't have Soko Amaretto Lime on it until like way later on. So I had way less time with this. And I remember Adam playing it. And I thought it was like some obscure B-side, like not knowing it was just right on the record. But I mean, it's obviously super good. And especially much more, I was way more associated with like straight edge. So like so much talk about like drinking and driving and passing out. It was kind of like not my scene. It's obviously an amazing song. We played it a lot. We covered it. And it's really funny. The most vivid memory I have of this song, other than Adam, is cleaning the men's bathrooms at Eaton Park, where I was a dishwasher when I was 17, and listening to like the end of, You're Just Jealous Because We're Young and in Love. And again, 4 years later, still dating that same girl, just being like, man, I want to be in love. I want to love the person I'm with.
Oh, God. Wow, you couldn't have been any more. You were definitely we joke with some of our followers on Twitter sometimes. When they seem to be, it's pretty apparent they were in the target demographic for a certain thing. So this was, now I'm starting to learn why this was your favorite brand new record, just because he was singing directly to you and upset, spurned, not even spurned, but you were in a unique position of not having the love you wanted, kind of. I'm going to say this is, a couple notes, and then we'll get out of here, I guess. I wonder how many people who just turned 21 at the time who grew up with this stuff and said Soko Amaretto Lime is their first drink order ever because they just didn't know the name of any other cocktail. I still don't know that name of many cocktails. It seems like a weird skill to have, just to know a variety of them. Like old fashioned. Like, do you know a second choice? We don't have old fashioned stuff. It's like, I don't actually. That's the only thing I've ever heard from TV. Soko Amaretto Lime, if you got it. Like, sure, heavy on the amaretto. I don't know. Easy on the lime, or I don't know. Just add something to it to make it sound like you're an adult.
Apple teeny, heavy on the apple, light on the teeny.
Exactly. You know the pathways of my brain better than I do, I feel like sometimes. Soko, what else was there? There was I went to homecoming with, I think, our buddy James's older brother's girlfriend at Iroquois. I was a fresh 8th grader and she was a junior. Weirdly. Not weirdly, it was fun, like tight-knit community, whatever. But I remember James's older brother was like, she would be going with me, but I'm in college because there was a bit of an age difference there. He's like, nothing's going to happen. I'm like, I know, man. You're practically an adult. Lay off, dude. I'm like, I'm like in 8th grade, dude. Anyway, but I remember seeing some of the girls she hung out with had Play Crack the Sky lyrics, or no, Soko Amaretto Lime lyrics in their AIM profiles. And I'd be like, oh my God, man, there's so few degrees of separation. There has to be, like, I know Billy is going to, he basically just, well, I guess take the name out probably, but, I think it was, I don't even know how serious he was about it, but, now that I think about it, there can't be that many degrees of separation from, like, them being entertained by the notion of, obviously not suave enough to be like, hey, you want to grab some coffee? Or I don't know, just like sheepishly AIM message them or something. But like, we're all listening to the same experiencing the same 2000 stuff that BuzzFeed was going to like make a ton of money off of 20 years later, but, or 10 years later, I guess. But, it's just kind of interesting because like, you think about the thing, you think about the Iroquois High School ladies who were a little older at the time. I think that speaks to how big Brand New was. Like, Soko was just like, not a sorority anthem, but some of these songs definitely, exploded outside of the world. unless emo was just that big at the time and we're not even accounting for how huge some of these bands got. It seems like some of these dudes, when they get interviewed, they talk about Fall Out Boy like not even being attached to what it was back when Jimmy Eat World started this whole thing or took it to that whole other level. They like hate Fall Out Boy for how big they are almost, it seems, kind of subconsciously. So maybe we're just not addressing the fact that it was hard to avoid at that point. You know, it wasn't just like a scene, it was the world. You know what I mean? Like it was just the way
it was a goddamn arms race.
Yeah, it was an arms race. I mean, Hot Topics were in malls, so it wasn't like super hard to find this piece of, section of culture, I guess. So maybe that's okay. I don't know. Anyway, thanks for indulging. But yeah, I just remember seeing that being like, I should say hello and say that I also like that song, but I never did. So I was too scared.
But I'm 12 and they're really cute and have a boyfriend. So,
but yes,
I'll listen to Secondary and die inside.
I weirdly got defensive there. I wasn't 12, but I was like 14.
Anyway, walk around this town like we own the streets and stay awake through summer like we own the heat is like the most like summer vibe, but also like that youthful innocence and cockiness and like invincibility. Love it, dude. Love that line. Love that moment in the song. It is I can't even say the French word. Pièce de résistance.
Omelette du fromage.
It's good, dude. The song is so good. And it's also like, I remember, again, one of the times Adam was playing it, I think this might have actually been when we were like in our early 20s. We kind of reunited at my mom's house after not all seeing each other for years and like actually like learning the song on acoustic, singing it at the top of our lungs. My sister had a video of us singing this. And just like at this point, I was like a little more, I don't want to say trained vocally, but I at least tried more. So trying to belt those like high harmonies out. And it was just, dude, it was fun, man. It's a good song to like get back together with friends and just sing it,
Mm-hmm.
It's a good one. Top tier.
Yeah. Top tier. Brings us to the end. Went long, not too long, but
yeah,
had a lot of memories with this one,
Yeah. Yeah. I would love to hear from the group. First time you heard this album, maybe some of the strongest memories attached. Hit us up on Twitter @_reminiscentfm. Super important album to us. I know it's a really important album to a lot of people. It'd be great to hear, some of your thoughts and memories attached to it. Cause, I don't just want to talk at everyone for, an hour and a half every week. I want to hear back. That's the most fun part of the show. But do you want to give a song of the week and head out?
Yeah, I'll not because I necessarily love it, but Weezer dropped a song called Hero. It's supposed to be off their album Van Weezer. They had dropped a gimmicky song that it was basically a Van Halen ripoff about a year ago. I guess I don't know when the record's going to drop, if it's been shelved or whatever, but it's interesting in the sense that this one was less of just a Van Halen ripoff. So I'm intrigued. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to be an all wannabe Van Halen record just because they're getting older and get to try these projects because they're rich and don't have much else to do, I guess. I'm not sure, but I'm intrigued by how it wasn't just like, hey, we're finger tapping and, isn't this funny that we're going to do a full fake Van Halen out? It was just like pretty straightforward, interesting rock song, just like it was down the middle enough to make me intrigued by what the hell are they even doing? Because this is just seems to be a real effort. So I don't know. It's interesting.
Nice. Boston Manor put out a new album a couple weeks ago, and I can't remember the song that really hit me, but I do know I really liked You, Me, and the Class War off of their new album Glue, which is a really good listen. It's, I really love their first album, so it's a pretty big departure, but if you can kind of appreciate the album for what it is, it's a pretty good record, pretty heavy at times, really about drug addiction and stuff. It's pretty heavy, but a really good record, good listen. That's it for this week.
Yeah, nice. That was a fun one. I think there's a few that the fans can probably tell that were definitely in our wheelhouse. So this is one of them, man. It was only gonna be a matter of time. I mean, we'll do Deja at some point. I don't know if it's gonna be soon or it just depends. Let us know what you want. But yeah, well, separating the artist from the music or not, this was definitely something that was played by us always. There was rarely a time when we weren't listening to your favorite weapon back in the day. So
yeah,
lots of memories attached to it, which is hopefully what we tried to focus on today. But yeah, I love you, man. This was a fun one.
Yeah, love you too, dude. See y'all later. Hey friends, thank you so much for hanging out this week. This is such a huge and important album to our childhood, growing up and learning about all the angst that's going to happen even well beyond teenage years. This album remains very important to us, and it was so fun to talk about it this week. Again, hit us up on Twitter @_reminiscentfm. Let us know about the first time you heard this album, what your favorite song was. Maybe rank them along with us. We'd love to hear what you think, but we love you all, and we'll talk to you next week. Thanks so much. Bye, everyone.